Well, I'm here on Borough TV as part of our build-up to this Saturday night season opening clash against Williamstown, and arguably the man who is going to be front and centre in plenty of discussions leading into the game is ex-Williamstown Premiership captain and games record holder Ben Jolley, now with the Port Melbourne Football Club in 2019. Ben, it's obviously been a big week for you so far, mate. How are you feeling a few days out from your first game against the old club?
Yeah, as nervous as I suppose you normally are before round one, Sammy. So yeah, there's obviously a little bit of byplay with the game, with my history at the footy club, but I think both teams will kind of agree the importance of getting off to a win in round one probably takes precedence.
And we won't elaborate too much on the specifics of the move to the Borough, but are you perhaps able to talk about what's taken place since the move became official, and how's the transition been for you both physically and mentally?
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's one of those things where I think by human nature we don't necessarily love the prospect of change, but this has been one that I think both parties will probably be, or all three parties will benefit from. I get the opportunity to continue playing VFL football in a rejuvenated kind of state. Hopefully there's something that I can provide the Port Melbourne Football Club and Williamstown as well, get the opportunity to play some young guys in positions that I theoretically would be occupying.
And we all know about the rivalry between the two clubs, and you had plenty of previous matches opposed to the red and blue. Is there any individuals throughout the pre-season at Port Melbourne who you've perhaps formed some strong relationships with, or even anyone who has possibly even surprised you with their ability that you might not have had the chance to appreciate when you were at Willie? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, another kind of new entrant to the club in Tommy Goodwin. It's always handy being a midfielder to kind of nestle up with the big ruckman. Hopefully they can kind of send a few your way. But players that I was kind of aware of in terms of the standards they were setting have certainly lived up to their reputations in Tom O'Sullivan and Mitch Wolferton, guys that you kind of really need to knuckle down on when they're your opponents. So it's nice to be on the same side as those types of players. Harvey Hooper's been one who's kind of jumped out at me. He's a very powerful young man and fairly aggressive, and I say a premiership player at such a young age and those types of things like that. So it's been really pleasing to see how he goes about things. Eli Templeton, Geordie Lyle's the skipper, Khan Haratuka's had a pretty handy pre-season and things like that, mate. So yeah, there's plenty of examples for myself as a more elder statesman of the game to follow in the example of others, which is really nice.
And this Saturday, I'd imagine you'd also be pretty prominent in some pre-match planning with Ayresy and the coaches outlining not only game tactics, but as we said off camera last week, it's about how we can play the uniqueness of that Williamstown ground, and often some pretty wild conditions can prevail there, as we know. So obviously that's going to be very important in the scheme of the match too. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, if I reflect back on my time at Willie, your game style changes year on year type thing. So to come in and say that I've got all this intel about how the side's going to play is probably irrelevant. They've got new personnel in there. Collo will have a new way of playing the game and the systems and the ground itself. I'd like to think that if the conditions are fine, it's actually quite a good ground to play football on. So it shouldn't really hold any great fears for Port. However, yeah, when it's your home deck, like it is Willie's, you get the opportunity to be on there for some training and things like that. It probably comes in as an advantage, yeah.
And we sort of mentioned the playing group, but just from an overall club point of view, what were some of the impressions that you had of the Port Melbourne Football Club before you came here, and how have you felt? You felt sort of warm and embraced from the fans as well. Copping probably plenty over the fence in years gone by, but you're on our side now. We're wrapped for that. But have you sort of felt that sort of change in attitude, if you like, towards you since you came?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the thing. When you've got a group of supporters who are so passionately Port Melbourne, when you're playing for the opposition, you certainly feel that. But in the exact same token, that when you become part of the family of Port Melbourne, that they certainly embrace you with open arms, and that's extended from, as I say, outside supporter groups to the playing group, to the coaching staff, to the admin. It's just, yeah, once you become part of it, they certainly welcome you with open arms.
Well, Ben, I'm sure I speak on behalf of everyone at Port Melbourne that we have always admired you for the champion that you were at Willie, and can't wait to see you pull on the red and blue for the first time this Saturday night, and also hope it's the start of a terrific journey, however long that may be. So best of luck.
Thanks, Sammy.